Oh, we got a great guest this week. It's our first big star. We got baseball players. We've had them on. Our first big actor who's coming on. Used to play Turtle on Entourage, Jerry Ferrara. Guy's an absolute stud. We got some great stuff to talk about with Jerry. I'm in the room. I'm getting things done. Down my wall. Here we go. It's going to be awesome. Hope you guys enjoy. Roll the open, Chinch.
Oh, Nelly!
Did yours? Hey, Chidge, we're still making the sausage around here. I don't know what's going on. Jeez.
What?
I'll tell you what, brother. We're excited about this one, man. I'm really excited. This guy needs no introduction because he was in our living rooms for a long, long time. I think one of the best actors of our generation. Jared, I'm going to drop that on you. I think literally it was a ton of fun watching an Entourage, but also, man, a lot of different things. You were Joe Proctor too in Power. I love that show. 5 seasons, you dominated there. Las Vegas, Lone Survivor. It seems like you're doing a ton of different stuff. So Jerry Ferrara, dude, thank you so much for joining the mayor's office this week, bro. Me and Chidge give you a big round of applause.
Yeah.
How's everything going, man?
Everything's going good. Honestly, I don't know where I go from here now after that intro. I don't even think it's arguably the best intro I've ever received. You know what, Sean? I'm doing good. I've shifted from like the young upstart rookie, like, oh, this kid's got, but now when I'm on set working, I'm like the wily veteran who like just squeaks it out. I like get by, so it's a fun change for me.
I know what you're saying, bro. Like when I was like first coming into the big leagues, I'm there at like 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm full of piss and vinegar getting into cages. And like the last couple of years in the big leagues, I'm like 4 o'clock bus guy. No one's on it. I'm like, get on the bus real quick. Get in. I know what I'm doing, right? Is that kind of, was that what it's like?
Same thing. So it used to be with me, I go to set and like sometimes when you're shooting, you're there for like 14, 15 hours, right? It's just how it is. It's a long day. So now I'll be on set and we'll be one of the younger people will be like, oh, this scene, I think it's only gonna take like 2-3 hours. I'm like, nah, bro, we're gonna be here till 4 o'clock in the morning. No, listen, I've seen it. We're gonna be here till 4 o'clock. Sure enough, 4 o'clock in the morning, and the youngster's like, you were right. I'm like, yeah. That's not my first rodeo.
It's my first rodeo. Exactly. I love it, dude. So true. So true. Hey, I want to go, bro. It's so funny because I'm here in Pittsburgh. That's where I live. But I was just in your stomping grounds for last 3 days. I took my daughters out to Brooklyn and we were kind of texting back and forth. And so I got a couple things I got to ask because, you grew up there and we were kind of going back and forth. And I stayed in a brownstone. A friend of ours, Bree, had this place and we stayed, in her brownstone. I think she was like the 3rd floor or something. But what I thought was funny, bro, and tell me if this is I think the neighborhood is real Italian. And the one guy was waiting out there for me, and he looked like, slicked back. It was like the movie, slicked back hair. He's like, hey, who are you? And I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, I'm friends with Bree. I'm staying here for a couple days. And he's like, hey, I'm Vinny. We live, grandparents live on the bottom floor. I'm Vinny Jr., live on the top floor. Vinny Sr., my mom. He's like, we're on the second floor. I'm like, are you serious? I just thought this was Bree's brownstone, but it turns out Bree's renting from Vinny and her family. Like, is that how they kind of do it? And when Sal, the grandfather, the next day, Sal's waiting for me on the steps. He's like, hey, I'm Sal. Who are you? I'm like, I'm Sean, man. I was like, you guys are wonderful. But is that how we do it in Brooklyn? Like, everybody knows everybody?
I feel like did you rent something from my family? That's all. I got a Sal. I got a Vinny. Yes, the kind of old school Brooklyn Italian way is like you get like the mother-daughter buildings or townhouses, right? You put grandma here and then mom and dad here. And then, like you didn't really stray too far away from the family. I think my generation was sort of the one that was like, yeah, we're going to maybe break that a little bit and spread our wings and fly. But similar situation. We, got my mom a house out in Staten Island. And there was like a little side apartment for my 96-year-old grandmother who was living. She passed 2 years ago, but beautiful life, 96 years. And that's kind of how, kind of how you do it. And everyone did know everyone. And you saw the hostility, right? When you rolled up, who are you? But the minute you were like, I'm Bree's friend, it was like, oh,
Right.
great.
Yeah, no, you're
He
right,
wasn't
right?
expecting you. He didn't say, oh, wait, are you Sean? Because he was expecting a Sean to come. He said, who are you?
Right. It like took me back seriously. He's like, who? Like he was waiting for me too. It's like he saw someone because we were, I pulled up, I was loading the bags, and then I parked the car. And as I was walking up, all of a sudden there's a guy like, hey, who are you, man? I'm like, like, and then it was just so funny. But that's how they do it,
I was trying to tell Sean too in New York. In New York,
No,
they might be very nice, but they're also going, hey, who the hell is this guy in the neighborhood? The entire neighborhood, the whole neighborhood's watching out. And this guy's like 6'2", 230, Irish dude walking around Brooklyn. They're probably like, what is this guy doing in town? Let's find out who he is, right?
Yeah, I was even talking to my mom's in town visiting because we just had a kid, a baby 3 months ago, and she's hanging. And we were just talking about the old days, and it really was that, right? Like when I was allowed, my nephew who's 12, I think he's getting a little overbearing stuff from his dad, like can't really go anywhere. I was allowed to go wherever I wanted because every 10 feet there was someone's grandmother, someone's uncle. Like I was being watched the entire time. So yeah, if I was doing something mischievous, my mom would get a phone call from the lady around the block. Like, Jerry's over here throwing rocks at windows. And she'd come get me in her nightgown and drag me home. So it's a little different now, but it was a great place to grow up. Great place to grow up.
So you spend half your time right now in Brooklyn still, right? You're still in Brooklyn? And then half your time in Cleveland too, because your wife's from there.
So, I lived in LA 18 years, met my wife there. We got married 4 years. She's from just outside the Cleveland area. So we bought a place here, and we still have our place in Brooklyn. And I'm doing some work here too with, believe it or not, a couple of sports things we'll talk about off the air because I want to pick your brain. Yeah. But we kind of go back and forth. It's nice to have a little space. I mean, I love Brooklyn, and it's the best. But it's nice to have a backyard and a tree and grass. And a hose, it's just nice. And a garage. Great.
I was thinking that because I got 4 kids. They're a little older. I got one's going to college. I got 2 in college, and I got 2 little girls who I thought were little girls, 15 and 11. Then you're like, yeah, I got a 3-year-old? No, a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old?
A 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. Yeah, we're getting crushed.
Oh my gosh, dude. So what's that like to raise that? Like when I was in Brooklyn, I was like, how do you raise kids in Brooklyn? Like, and I did see a lot of strollers going around, but like, what's that like raising 2 little ones in Brooklyn?
It's definitely changed a lot. And where we're at in Brooklyn now, we're more toward like the Williamsburg area by the East River, right? I was a little more inland in Brooklyn towards Bay Ridge, Bensonhurst. And there's a lot of kids and dogs, and like it's a great place for a family, but it is definitely a lack of space. You have to probably not want to be home a lot. I'm more of a homebody these days because you don't get a lot of space, and you're paying a fortune for not a lot of space. So you got to take that. You don't really have a car. Sometimes parking the car costs more than the car. That happens all the time. But that being said, it is amazing to walk outside your house with your kid and you have all this energy and all this coming at you. Sometimes here when we're in Ohio, it's like, okay, what are we doing today? I got to figure something out. We got to plan something, What do you want to do? Whereas Brooklyn, you kind of just walk outside and let's see what's going to happen to us today. Let's see what we can find.
Yeah, well, that's what I felt like. I felt like there was so much action, and I know one of the things for me, it was like I had heard. Is it called Lucali's Pizza? Yeah, Lucali. So I have a buddy of mine, Carmen, who owns a place here in Pittsburgh, who is a pizza. He's like, you got to go to Lucali's out in Brooklyn. I'm like, hey, I'm going, bro, so I was like, I'm gonna go there. And then one of the ladies that was living in our place, the grandmother, I'm like, hey, we're going to Lucali. She's like, don't go to Lucali's. Go to my little pizzeria. So I'm like, wait a minute here. The reason I'm here is to go to Lucali's. But then I talked to some other guy in the corner. I'm like, hey, we're going to my little pizzeria. The guy's like, don't go to my little pizzerias. Go down to this place. And I'm like, is that a Brooklyn thing? Like you guys take ownership of the pizza, and you talked about the place that was like that you think is the best in the world. And is that Spumoni's or
Spumoni Garden, L&B Spumoni Gardens. Every Sunday for the first, 14, 15 years of my life. This place is so good, right? They do have a restaurant, right? but it's more of like outdoor patio seats. If you knew someone who actually ate in the restaurant, it's like, oh, you ate inside the restaurant? Because you just go, you order your pizza, you eat it on one of the picnic tables, you get a little spumoni ice at the end, and you leave. Yeah, but people from Brooklyn, born and raised usually, they're just proud. They're proud of where they're from. They're proud of the street that they're from. It gets that specific, right? So then when you start dealing with pizza, and look, Lucali's is great, it's very popular, everyone knows about Lucali's and they're very successful. So sometimes people are, oh, no, I got the hole in the wall spot. You won't think much of it when you walk in,
Yes.
but you're going to have the best freaking piece of pizza you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
So, take a lot of pride in that.
That little the My Little Pizzeria, I think that's what it was called. But we went there. I mean, the cash register was like, I think Al Capone used the cash register back in the day. Like, I was like, does that still work? Give the guy cash. It's like bing, 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 bing. Big red cash register thing comes flying out. I'm like, what an unbelievable. And the pizza was unbelievable. Like, but you talked about at Spumoni Gardens, you talked about how the pizza's like, it's like flipped over. It's like only you guys would know that the way it's made, right? Like, how is that one made?
Yeah. So Spumoni Gardens is so specific of a pizza place, right? You only get square or Sicilian style, as people call it, right? You don't get like a regular slice. The slices are fine, but that's not why you go there. And I don't know who actually created this recipe. I'm not going to say they did, but they may say they did, or at least back then. Yeah, they kind of go like the reverse, I think is called grandma style, where it's dough, cheese, sauce then on top, whereas typically it's vice versa,
yes.
right? And has a little sweetness to it. The sauce is a little sweet. I mean, I used to, several times, I've had people when I was living in LA for 18 years, this is long before it was very easy to ship food. I'm going back 15, 20 years, would pack it in dry ice and ship it out to me. And then I would literally hold on to this thing. I like negotiated with people with this. Like, all right, you guys can come over, but you're bringing this. And I had the Holy Grail. I spread it out. And then to this day, one of my good buddies, Scott Kahn, another very talented actor, when he goes to Brooklyn, he goes right to Spumoni Gardens because I put him on.
Oh my God, bro. That's so great. Oh, that is
Crazy.
So great. That's crazy. That is crazy. I want to what about let's transfer from pizza and let's talk a little bit about the kids, because you got little ones, bro. And I've been down the street because I know you were coming on the show, and I'm like, hey, get the two poopies changed. Let's sing a couple songs to the kids, and maybe a quick whatever Over the Moon book, really nice. And like, is that how your Jerry Ferrara's nights are going now? Is that like what's your routine for the kids?
It is 1,000% what my life is right now, and I think I'm on a streak because when my wife is in like the 9th month of pregnancy, she's not really leaning over the crib. So I've been putting my oldest son, Jacob, down for like 3 months straight. And then, with the newborn, she, it's a lot. You got to go upstairs in the crib. And I mean, she comes up there, but I'm doing the actual, and every time I'm thinking when I put it out, I'm like, I think we're on day 147, night 147 in a row of singing these songs and doing these books. I mean, look, I love it. I waited a long time to have kids, He was born when I was 39. I'm 41 now. So the biggest adjustment has been, actor kind of lifestyle is like you work 6 months, 7 months, and then you probably can't get work for the other 4 or 5 months. So you got to figure out your life is truly like you could do. I'm not saying like I could go wherever on vacation. We're trying to get other work, but for the most part, I'm left to my own devices, right? Like,
right.
And there's usually a lot of others like you. Like, hey, if I want to go meet someone for a 12 o'clock coffee and talk about movies and stuff, I got hundreds of people in LA to do that. That's not, and they don't have kids. That's not real life. Most people are working and most people have kids, and it's all, so I'm making that adjustment of like total ultimate freedom to now almost zero, but I wouldn't change it. Man. I grew up, my father passed away when I was very young. I was 5 years old. I got an older brother, and I always kind of knew, even when I was young, the only way I'm ever going to kind of come to terms with that is when I have kids, and I'm going to get some of that time back in that way. Like, I'm going to just do with my kids what I think I would have loved my dad to be able to do with me. So that's how I kind of handle it. And it's been awesome. I love it. I mean, it's exhausting, and I feel like I'm never going to do it. Like, we're going to dinner with some friends Friday night. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm like, we're going to go with actual grown-ups, and there's going to be alcohol, and we're going to eat, and then we're going to get in the car and talk, and no one, and it's just going to be us. Like, I don't even know what to do, Sean.
The text from Jerry at 8:10 tonight said, "Getting the kids to bed, on track for 8:20. ... Let's pray."
That could turn
You did
real
it.
quick, as you know, Sean. That could turn around. That could have been a 9:20 estimate. It's like on a plane when the pilot comes on. Oh yeah, we had a little bit of a headwind. We're actually gonna get into LA an hour later. It was like, oh, that's what happened.
I have a son, Jacob, too. He's
Nice.
18 now, but it's funny because when you talk about, I can remember, bro. Like, so my oldest son, Andrew, you know, the first one, you're like, he's like an angel. You put him down. He's got the, you know, you read him you read him a story. You change his poopy. He couple songs to him. Bam, he's out cold, right? Well, Jake, the second guy, Jake comes along. He's like, oh baby, it's time to get it on. You know, I'm the second one of the Casey household. It's time to rip it. Like, he's kind of got my personality. I saw it right away. I was like, oh, we're gonna have big problems here. So sure enough, when he could finally walk, he would, one night I put him to bed, bro. Like, I sing the song, change the poopy. I'm out cold because, you know, the days are exhausting, right? So I'm laying there in bed, and next thing you know, he's like, hey, he doesn't say, hey, what's up, Dad? Because he obviously can't talk, but he's like 10 months old. He's like, ha. And I like startle. I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, he's out of his crib. And like, and my, you know, my wife was like,
10 months?
Oh yeah, 10 months, bro. 10 months. Oh, no, I swear to God. I'm like, how'd he get out? So I bring him back, right? And I'm like, so I can't believe it. So he comes out again. So next thing I know, I lay in the room, and I'm sure you're going to do this, bro. I lay by the door. I turn the lights off. Like, have a good night, Jake. Turn the lights off because I got to see what he's doing here. Freaking kids, full-fledged pull up, leg over, and then he just falls down, and he comes out of the room. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So what we did, bro, and I don't know if this is legal now in 2021, but back in 2003 and 4, I think you could do this. We got one of those nets. It almost like it's to keep dogs and cats out. But I swear to God, we put it in the crib. We zip it all the way up, bro, and we would lock him in like steel cage match, like Andre the Giant was going to come in or something. But, you know, we'd lock our freaking 1-year-old in there, and I swear to God, bro, 5 months later, I lock him in, bam, he shows up next to me about 2 hours later. He's like, hey, what's up, Dad? I'm like, so then I went and looked in, Jer, what he was doing. I lock him in. I laid in the thing again. He would take his finger and somehow nudge it into the zipper and unzip the thing and then jump out. I was like,
oh my gosh, he's Houdini.
He was Houdini, man. So you're going to have some of that stuff happen, bro. It's coming. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there hasn't been any breakouts yet. Luckily, he likes his crib, but I already like, and I do wonder, like, if you spot something with your kid when they're, you know, 1, 2 years old, like a trait, right? Does it stick, or do they just grow out of that? Because my Jacob definitely,
it sticks, bro. Who they are at this age, I swear to God, that's who they're going to be when they're like 18. You're like, oh my God, nothing's changed. It's like a bigger version of yourself.
He's going to be his mom. Yeah, he hears music. He starts like going like this. He never wants to go to bed. When there's people over, he like, when they leave, he's like, no. You're not leaving.
No.
And
let's party. Let's party. He's like, let's party.
He's got the FOMO, the fear of missing out, where I have a fear of doing stuff at this point in my life. So.
Yeah.
That's so great, dude. All right, let's switch gears from poopy pants and kids sneaking out and all that stuff. Let's talk about a little bit about baseball, because that's we're a baseball podcast, but we're really kind of everything podcast. Especially you bring a awesome element to our show, which we're so grateful for. But you're a big Yankees fan. You know, can you take us back to that? Like, what made you a Yankees fan? Why are you a Yankees fan? Especially being from Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's ironic that you asked me that while my mom's here. My mom, huge baseball fan, huge Yankee fan. Obviously, like, she grew up watching Mickey Mantle and all. Like, I used to hear all about that. My thing when I was a kid was like stats, right? Before the internet and all that, I was a big baseball card collector. I used to get those sticker books that you get to put, like, it was great. And I, at like 7 years old, had every player's batting average memorized, home runs, RBIs. That's all the real stats you had back then.
Yeah,
Don Mattingly was my idol back then. That was my guy. But everyone thinks like, oh, you're a Yankee fan. Like, you got, like, in the 80s, the Yankees were terrible. I could go there now. They weren't maybe supposed to be terrible. You want to talk about true fandom? Let's go through some of those names. All right. Now, you had Mattingly. Great. Winfield was still doing it. Ricky Henderson still doing it. How about Alvaro Espinosa, the best bunter in the league?
Yes.
Steve Balboni, Butch Weiniger.
Balboni. Yep.
Steve
Pagliarulo.
Sachs, Mikey Pags, Pagliarulo. Dave Rigetti did lead the
Kevin
league
Moss.
saves one year.
What about Kevin Moss? I got all his rookie cards. I'm like, Kevin Moss is going to be the
7 home runs in his first 4 games. He was going to be Joe DiMaggio, that kid, you know?
Jerry, right or wrong, you and I are pretty, I think we're almost exactly the same age. And like you said, everybody, Mickey Mantle, Reggie was the best, the Yankees, dynasty. There was nothing redeemable. Like, we were rooting for the worst team in baseball back then. And at the same time, when you're at that age when it matters, the Mets were awesome. So all my Queens friends were crushing us, and you just sat on Donnie Mattingly and you're like, it doesn't matter. We got the best player. We got like Oscar Zokar. No offense to Oscar Zokar, but that's what I was like rooting
weren't
for back
supposed
in the day.
to. I don't think. Look, also, and I found this the other day. My mom brought this here when she visited. Back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember Carvel ice cream, right?
Oh, yes.
So you used to be able to get a little ice cream sundae in a mini batting helmet and they had also. I used to collect all the teams, not just the Yankees, right? And it was right by my grandmother's house in Brooklyn. So one day I'm there, Sunday dinner, watching the Yankee game. They're on the road against the White Sox. I think it's 1991, so I'm 10 years old. Andy Hawkins throws a no-hitter and loses. They lost the game 4-0 because there was 4 errors. He walked 7 batters, and he threw a no-hitter, complete game, and lost. I went right to Carvel, got a Yankee helmet, and I'm like, Ma, we got to commemorate this. I wrote on the sticker, I put the date and wrote, Andy Hawkins throws no-hitter against the White Sox and loses, and it's on the back of the helmet still to this day.
Oh my God, that is so good.
I never saw a playoff game, Sean. Like I didn't see then 93, they start getting there. They're really good. Then there was a lockout, right? There's one of Mattingly's last great years. And then they had then they didn't make the playoffs and they had those great playoff series against the Ken Griffey Jr. Mariners, Edgar Martinez, Tino, and they just heartbreaking losses. So it wasn't until 96 that I really kind of, I got my first ring.
I got your first ring. I love it. So on the Mattingly point, I got a really quick story on Mattingly because I loved him too, bro. Will Clark, Mark Grace, Don Mattingly.
Mark Grace was my guy too.
Oh, dude, love Mark Grace. And
I collected all his cards.
I'm sure you had the Mattingly poster, like the Sports Illustrated one with the white background.
The Hitman.
Yeah, the Hitman. Yes.
Yeah.
So when I get to the big leagues, bro, I'm like, I don't know if you felt this way, like when you were first getting into some big stuff acting. Like when I first got to the big leagues, I'm like, I literally would hold guys on and be like, hey, bro, you send a ball over. Can you send like Chipper? I remember holding on Chipper Jones my rookie year. I'm like, hey, can you send the ball over? Because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how long I'll be tricking these guys because I could be out of here at any point. I got to get as many balls as I can, right? So my first spring training with the Reds, I'll never forget it, 99. I'm like, oh man, I'm just so great to be here. We're playing the Yankees, right? And we're in Sarasota, and Mattingly, I believe, is the hitting coach. I don't think he's the bench coach because I think Zimmer was with Torrey. But dude, you don't understand. Seeing Mattingly in person for me, and probably you have felt the same way. Yeah, I see him and he's behind the turtle, and he's, no pun intended, he's behind the turtle. That's what we call the turtle. He's behind the turtle, and he's just, he's standing there, and I'm like, I go flying back to the clubhouse, bro. I'm like, I go to the club. He was like, dude, you got a silver Sharpie, silver pen, anything? I was like, I'm going to get one of my bats, get Donnie Baseball to sign my bat. So he gives me this like a paint pen. So I go running out there, bro. I'm like, oh, hey, Donnie, I'm a big fan of you. I turn into a fan. I'm like a loser. I'm in full Reds big league uniform. I'm like, Donnie, I'm a big fan of yours. Hey, you can sign my bat. He's like, yeah, no problem. So Donnie gets the bat out. He gets the pen going. And the pen, you know what I'm talking about. The pen starts running. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
No.
So yeah, so he's like, I'm like, moment of truth for me and my like 12-year-old kid. He's like, to Sean. And it looked like, like just, and then he's like, all my best, Don Mattingly. And it just like kind of smeared together. But I was like, I'm going to have to grind through it, man. That's the only time I got Mattingly's
you gotta
autograph.
take what you get.
I'll take it, bro, but I'll take it. But did you feel bad for Mattingly that like the team got good right when he was done? Like, right, he was the best player all those years. His back kind of went out on him. But as a Yankee fan, did you feel something for Donnie Baseball when they started to win?
Yeah, because and I remember the local Yankee announcers, would always they would always touch on that, like when the Yankees were, winning all those games. Every now and then you'd hear a little, if only Mattingly were here, sort of thing. Yeah, to me, that's really Mattingly and Patrick Ewing are the two New York athletes in my mind, really, that never got the ring that I felt that they were more than talented enough to get. And Mattingly also was riddled with injury. One of the fun things when we go play wiffle ball or stickball is we'd always impersonate whatever batting stance Mattingly had that week that was because of whatever injury he had.
True.
Sometimes he had back injuries, just leave his arms down. Sometimes he'd feel good and his left elbow was up a little bit. So mimicking his stances were the best because they were different every other week because of all his injuries.
Oh, that is so great. You're right. He did it. Sometimes he'd squat down. He'd be up tall.
It was all injury related. He was just trying to, whatever didn't hurt his back to swing is what he was doing. So, I wish, literally as he went out, Jeter kind of came in and assumed that throne. And, obviously we know what happened after that. But, so I paid my dues with the Yankees and I still love them and watch them. And, rough times right now, but they'll get through it.
When you look back at those teams, though, like for me, coming into Cincinnati at 98, he was already long gone. But Paul O'Neill was a local guy. He was a Cincinnati guy. And I kind of love when real Yankee fans talk about those years. Obviously, it's Jeter, it's Posada, it's Bernie Williams, it's all those guys, and Mo. But a lot of guys say it's the Paul O'Neill years. Like, did you, like the Brociouses, the O'Neills, the Tino Martinez's, like, did you love? What did you think of Paul O'Neill?
I loved him because I really thought he set a certain tone of intensity that I think is needed to win championships, right? Like that dude, when he would strike out, I couldn't wait to see what he did to the Gatorade cooler the minute he got in. And I hear my mom in the other room, look, he's acting like a baby. I'm like, no, he's mad, Ma. He struck out with 2 men on, with 1 out. Like the one thing you got to do is not strike out. Just put the ball in. So I loved Paul O'Neill, and he pretty much hit 300 every year. He was with the Yankees, and but what I loved about that team, Sean, is like, look. They definitely, they signed Brocious as a free agent. They signed Wetland as a free agent. They definitely made some free agent pickups, but the core of that team was all homegrown. You go through it. Like you said, Jeter, Posada, Bernie Williams, obviously Mo, the Leyritz, like just the core of that team was homegrown, Andy Pettitte. Yeah. So it wasn't all about go get the shiny toy that costs a lot of money. And look, that worked. We got a ring out of that too in a way. But I don't know, that team of homegrown talent, I don't know how much we'll see that again.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you talk about that because obviously being an analyst in the game and you look back at those Yankee teams, man, they did a good job scouting. They did something right drafting. You haven't seen that kind of talent come through the Yankee system since they did it. Obviously, they won all those championships, but you're talking about big time Hall of Famers, and I think Posada and Bernie Williams have a case too to be Hall of Famers, especially with Bernie Williams' postseason numbers. Phenomenal.
Arguably the most consistently great postseason player that we've had, right? It just holds up. But yeah, some people talk about the defense and the arm, and the arm definitely was always every time he was trying to throw someone out, or even it's where's this one gonna go? Also, I switch hitter back then too. It was incredible.
The other good thing that those teams did specifically so well was they would get the pieces. And some of them would be guys that were throwaways, and some guys would be kind of comeback projects, whatever. And you guys have 6 degrees of separation from a Doc Gooden story. Because, Jerry, you were at a pretty big Doc Gooden game.
Oh, yeah.
And I told Sean about that, and Sean was like, well, Doc Gooden has something to do with my career. So, Jerry, tell yours first.
So I'm thinking this is 90. What did we say? What, it was 93 or was it? It was before the championship. It was 95, maybe.
Could be 95.
Maybe not. I think it was 95, and I was 15 years old. We got tickets to some random, Yankees Mariners game. We of course wanted to go. None of us had licenses, so we had to talk our friend John, who took his mom's caddy. And we were like, John, we got an extra ticket for you. Oh, he's like, you really? And you're driving us to the game. So we went to Yankees, Mariners. There's still Griffey and I think Tino. So we're there. And, we haven't really experienced championships. So we're watching and we look up in the seventh inning. It's like, oh, wow. Dwight Gooden's throwing a no-hitter. And next thing you know, from inning 7 to the end, the place just got electric. And we felt what it would feel like if there was a World Series going on. It's the old stadium, of course. The energy was great. And sure enough, Doc Gooden throws a no-hitter. I still have the ticket stub. Wow. And you would have thought, like, the Yankees won the World Series. Walking out of that building, the fans were going crazy because we were not yet winning the way we would go on to win. So, I saw Doc Gooden's no-hitter.
That is so cool, especially for all he did with the Mets and then coming to the Yankees and throwing a no-hitter is so cool. I was very fortunate, man. I look back at my career and I'm like, I can't believe I played with that guy and that guy. And a lot of guys when I was coming up were on their way out, and Doc was one of them. So in 1998, my first big league camp with the Cleveland Indians, Doc and I lockered next to each other. I mean, the sweetest, best freaking dude, Jerry. Like I was like literally like same way that I was asking Chipper Jones for an autograph. I'm like, I can't believe Doc Gooden's like next to me. You got to be kidding me. It's so cool. But it's funny because, I think Doc Gooden might have got my career started in a little different way than he probably doesn't even know. I got sent back to AAA because I had a good camp, but I was behind a guy named Jim Tomey. So they're like, hey, take your bags and go back to Buffalo. You're a tired act.
So I heard of that guy.
Yeah, pretty good guy. Only a statue at Jacobs Field, no big deal. So I go down to Buffalo, and we're in AAA, and Doc Gooden's coming down to start a few innings just to get his innings in. We're about to break camp. I believe opening day is the next day. So Doc Gooden goes out, throws 3 innings. In the 4th inning, boom, he hurts his knee. Right? I don't think anything of it. But a couple of days earlier, Chad OJ had gone down, so that the Indians had a great team, just lost a Game 7 in '97, and they needed pitching. So we get off the bus, Jer, and I'm getting ready to get my bags, and it's my first day back down from big league camp. One of the Mark Shapiro grabs me. He's like, "Hey, need to talk to you real quick." John Hart gets on the phone, the GM. He's like, "Hey, we got good news and bad news, Case." He's like, "The bad news is you've been traded." He's like, "The good news is you're going to the big leagues with the Cincinnati Reds." So had Doc Gooden not hurt his knee that day, I'm probably in AAA for 4 more years with the Indians. But because he did, they traded the Reds traded Dave Berber, their number 1 starter, for me straight up 14 hours before opening day. So I just want to thank Doc. If he ever watches this podcast, he probably won't ever. But thank you, Doc, for maybe hurting your knee. But you were good after that, though. I mean, that just goes to show you too, right? Like just how, and it's like that with the entertainment business as well. And I think it's like that. It's about opportunity. And a lot of people never think they get opportunities and they say, oh, I wish and maybe that's true. But I also think that staying ready for when that opportunity comes and recognizing it is half the battle. Like, I mean, Doc Gooden in Buffalo hurting his knee, getting innings in changes the course of your career. Who knows what happened? I mean, I still think when you're good, you would have. No. I mean, you would have been in the majors no matter what for a long time. But like that path was just crazy. I agree. My dad used to always tell me, "Luck is preparation meeting opportunity." Like your opportunity is going to come one day, but be prepared when it does. And like you're right, something happens, boom, but you're ready to go. You're ready to make that step, which is pretty cool. Hey, let's shift gears here too, bro, because Chinch and I have been doing our research. And by the way, when I was in Brooklyn, where were we? Pier 60, or I was out there was like 17 basketball courts. Yeah. I was like, this is unbelievable. There was like a roller rink, a basketball court, bocce, ping pong. I'm like, only in Brooklyn. Like, are you kidding me? They got all this. You walk out of your house, you're on this pier on the water on the Hudson. You got all this action, and it looks like a ton of people go out and play hoops in Brooklyn. And you were a pretty good hooper, right? Because we've seen it. Chinch, you got some footage you can throw out there?
Pull it up in a second. Keep talking about it though.
But I was saying, like, first off, if you live in Brooklyn, do you just have to hoop? Like, and also too, listen, dude, you're not the biggest of white men out there, and I'm sure you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure in Brooklyn, you got to really ball to get out on those courts. But we watched some of you can hoop, dude.
There's some tape out there.
Shot.
I got some tape.
Yeah, we got some
I
tape.
think I got it. Let's see.
Oh, no. Can you find it? Yeah.
By the way, I hope it's from when I was young. Well, I don't know, but
let's find out here. You guys seeing this? First of all,
oh god,
look at the
by the
intro.
way, just so you know, with this game, right?
Yeah.
That's the All-Star game in LA,
Uh-huh.
the Celebrity All-Star game. I got benched for
What?
Justin Bieber. Okay.
No, what? First of all, look at this
Justin,
shit.
by the way,
Let's
that's over
stop down and
Jason
look at the
Williams right
form.
there. Bang.
Wow.
So,
And then,
by the way, I was so
Look at this.
excited about that game, right? And we're there in the locker room, in Staples Center. They got your jerseys out, like it's all exciting. I'm talking to Tracy McGrady. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I just hear this rumble in the tunnel of like people, and I feel like I hear girls scream, and like I'm like, what's going on? And I look out, and there's Justin Bieber's here. I'm like, cool. He's come to watch the celebrity game because he is not slated to be there. He used to play. He used to play in the game. He crossed someone over one year, and he hasn't played in like years. So next thing you know, he's like coming, and he's in our locker room. I'm like, okay, what's up, man? I say hello, and next thing I know, I see people scramble, and they bring out a jersey for him. I'm like, oh, are you playing? And sure enough, I already talked. I think our coach was Rachel Nichols. I was inserted in the starting lineup, and then I was benched. And I think I played a total of 8 minutes. I only had 2 shot attempts. And at one point, I even was like, I talked to Amin Al Hassan. I'm like, get me in this game. And then it was like, it ain't us. Bieber's here. And he played. Yeah, so I got no minute. I got benched for Bieber. And I get it. People want to watch him way more than me. I just wanted to play. I take those celebrity games. I would have been the one actually trying to win.
I was going to say, did they not see the rotation on that 3? That was absolutely money. That ball was rotating perfectly.
It was beautiful. So, yeah, man, look, basketball is New York and basketball are always just synonymous, right? And baseball was my first love. Like I played baseball. We were 1 game away from getting to the Little League World Series in Williamsport when I was a kid.
Wow.
It was I was not a good baseball player. I a decent hitter. I was terrible in the field. So they just stuck me. They stuck me in left field. Whoever's not pulling the ball that day. And but I was a good bench guy. But basketball. Look, I think the reason is there's so many hoops in all of New York, right? Little mini playgrounds, and all you need is a ball, right? The only piece of equipment you need. Like, I loved hockey as a kid. I couldn't keep up with the equipment nor afford it, right? I had goalie pads. My mom used to make me leave them outside because they stunk. Those things smell terribly. Same thing with like golf. I love golf now. We talked about golf texting and stuff. I didn't own a set of golf clubs, but with basketball in New York, you just grab a ball and just walk outside, and you're bound to run into a basketball hoop somewhere. So that was kind of the origin. And then I fell in love with the Knicks, which was a mistake. Still love them to this day, but no ring for me there. But yeah, man, I just grew up, and my high school, I went to public school, and it was just so competitive. Like, our rivals were Lincoln High School, and their lead point guard when I was like a freshman, sophomore was Stephon Marbury. And there's just so many great players that came out of New York, and I still love the game. I actually played a couple of hours ago. I met my friend in the playground. We played a little one-on-one, got some jumpers up. It's how I stay in shape now. But man, I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down.
Well, it's funny that I played hoops a few years ago too when I was done playing, but I was like, I went to make a move and like nothing really moved right. I'm like, wait, what happened there? What happened? Like, I used to nail that move,
The number one way men above the age of 30 get injured is pickup basketball. It is true. Every little dumb nagging thing I got going on is from some pickup game when I was like 34 years old where I'm diving for a loose ball. No, my game now is different. I don't play defense much. Like, if you get by me, just go. I don't really drive. I have a good 3 now, and I stick to behind the line. I just pull my face out there a lot because I don't want to get no elbows in the grill. And it's about exercise. That's all I clap, and I just keep saying it's about exercise, guys. Let's just get out of here safely.
Yeah, just don't hurt me on the rebounds, right? Don't hurt me on the rebounds. I don't need an elbow.
Yeah. I don't rebound. I'm 5'6", barefoot. I don't go down there.
You're cherry picking the 3.
Hustling is for young guys. The hustle goes away once you get to the mid-30s age group, I would say.
When it matters, right? Like, for me, if we're going to start hustling, dying for balls, we got to be playing for a lot of money or something. Like, this isn't my job. I don't do this for a living, clearly. So,
Hey, Jerry, you were talking about meeting Tracy McGrady at those games and how cool that is. Like when you were doing the Entourage years and like how awesome that was, it seemed like on those shows there was so many different cameos of guys. And I know for me, bro, like being a baseball player, like to meet actors and to meet musicians, you're like, oh man, I wish I could have sang or played guitar. I wish I could have acted. You know what I mean? All I can do is hit a baseball. You know, that's how your mind goes. You know what I mean? But who were like, do you have, like, give me like 4 or 5 guys that had cameos on Entourage that you're like, wow, is this going to be a great day with so-and-so showing up?
Yeah, like, and it's funny too, like, because in the beginning when we first started, we could barely, like, we used to have Mark Wahlberg used to have to beg people to come on the show because no one knew what the show was, and
Like our
I think
show
for
right
a lot
now.
of people,
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people like playing themselves, they didn't know if we were like making fun of them, and that's never what it was about. If you wanted to poke fun at yourself, that was always your call. Like that was always left up to the person doing the cameo, But for the most part, we want to make you look good and have some fun. But I do have to say, and not that he needs any more acclaim from anybody else, but not only was Tom Brady a lot of fun and great to work with, but he kind of bailed us out of a jam because that episode, there was an episode where Brady and Wahlberg play in a charity golf tournament versus Vince and his brother, right? And they start betting money. That part initially was written by our creator, Doug Allen. It was supposed to be, and he's a huge Giants fan, it was supposed to be Eli and Peyton Manning versus the brothers versus Vinny and Johnny Chase. And and I think it was Eli and Peyton asked to be on the show. We had a list of people who like called and wanted cameos on the show. So we wrote that whole thing. We're like 2-3 weeks away from shooting and they drop out and they don't really give a reason and they're out. Now you got 2 choices, right? You could gut the entire script and say, we got to move on from this and figure out a whole new script, which I don't and I wrote for the show in some of the later seasons. So I was in the writer's room for this part. Or, the benefits of having your executive producer being Mark Wahlberg is Mark calls in and he's like, you want me to get Tom? And we're all like, Tom, who, Selleck? Who are you talking about? And he's like, no, you want me to call Brady? And we're like, yeah, bro, you can go ahead, pick up the phone. And within like 2 hours, he's like, yeah, Brady's in. I'll play the other part. Keep the episode as in. Let's go. And this was the year Brady was just coming off his injury year against the Chiefs when I think he tore his ACL, total knee blowout, right, when they rolled up on him.
Yeah.
But no one really saw him for a while. He hadn't played football in a year, and he showed up 5 a.m. at a golf course in L.A. Couldn't have been nicer. Was prepared, knew his lines, got on the tee box, hit like a 290-yard drive down the middle, and it was like, who is that? What the Jesus, this guy's great. And the most important thing was, too, he was cool to the whole entire crew. Signed footballs for the crew members, and like just great. And again, not that he needs any more acclaim from me because he's got it all. That was dope. We had LeBron on. That was pretty cool. An episode I didn't get to be in, we shot at Yankee Stadium, and we had Teixeira did a cameo. A-Rod did a quick little cameo. As a Yankee fan, that was amazing. It was really the most unique thing. There would be days on the call sheet, right? The thing they give us at the end of every night that tells us what we're going to shoot the next day, right? And it's like, okay, in the morning, we're shooting with Phil Mickelson. And then after lunch, we got Kanye West coming in. And then we have a late night scene. It's Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. That's an amazing day. And then the next day, it's like, it's Scarlett Johansson, Jessica Alba. It was surreal. It did not feel like real life. And I think that's what the show was like escapism,
Yeah. Wow. That is so cool, man. That is so cool. Great. What about you? Like, all those guys that's so cool. Cause I know that feeling when you meet guys, especially when guys are nice too. Nothing like a Tom Brady coming in. Like you're just like, please don't let Tom Brady be a tool. And we're going to have to, I'm going to have to not root for him anymore. Like he comes in, he's a good dude. That feels really, really good. But what about for you personally, bro? Because that show got so big. Like I know I played with Ken Griffey Jr., right? And for 6 years. And I almost felt like sometimes, man, this guy's a prisoner of his own fame. Like he's the Michael Jordan of baseball. Every time we walked out of the hotel, boom, tons of people. Griff always had to go in sometimes, through the kitchen. And I played with David Ortiz in 2008. It was the same kind of deal. It was always, did your stardom ever get to that place where it was like, you kind of felt like a prisoner of your own fame?
I tell you why it was always weird for me. And I know, like, believe me, this is not like me complaining about like, oh, it's so hard. Cause like, look, it comes with the territory. You know, if you get successful, that's one of the results. So you can't say you didn't know. But for me, I always thought it was super cool. And it did kind of happen fast. Like Entourage in year one was not necessarily like highly viewed, but it was critically kind of acclaimed. And then after season one, this thing happened. It was the dawn of like TiVo and DVR, right? And HBO on demand happens. So in our off season, everyone started catching up. And so when we came back to season two, like season one, it was like, oh, that's a cool show. Some people are watching. It wasn't a big deal. But like first few episodes into filming season two, I always remember we were shooting the episode in Vegas, and I walk out of our little trailers, and we're shooting by the pool at some hotel, and I walk, and there's like 100 guys and girls in the pool, and I just start screaming like turtle, turtle, and I'm like, oh, we got extras. That's cool. Those are like 100 extras, like they're paid to do that, and they're like, no, that's like the public pool that we can't close. This is our pool where no one is. I'm like, so all these people in the pool know the show. They're all watching.
Wow.
And it just kind of grew from there. So for me, I always like was flattered by it. But the one thing I will say that does feel a little weird is, and I think it maybe it's because it's TV, you know, people feel like they really know you. And when they kind of find out you're not that exact thing that they want you to be, I've literally felt people get disappointed. Like I've had people be like, "Oh, Turtle, let's you want to go smoke a joint?" I'm like, "No, man, I don't even know you." And I've literally felt them be like, "You don't want to? So you're Turtle. You don't want to smoke this weed?" I'm like, "No, man, I don't know you." So there are times where it feels a little isolating, where it's like, you know, they want the thing that they know you for, and it's flattering, but yeah, it definitely feels a little, you know, like, man, if you actually got to know me, would you still kind of want to? And I would like to think they'd still want to hang, but especially now, man, all I do is talk about my kids.
I was gonna ask both of you guys this, and you kind of answered that, but just that switch that happens, in case you went through it as a player, but like, first, was there ever a sense of, oh my God, my life is different forever. Am I ready for this? Does that, and did you get scared by that? And in the follow up to that, and this is for both of you guys, how do you learn how to, you know, you take your boy to a pizza place or something, it's his birthday or something, and you're just sitting there with him, and some kid runs over and interrupts your meal with your kid and says, take a selfie with me. That's part of where the money comes from. I would personally think is that's part of what you're getting paid to do, is to have to lose a little bit of that introversion that everybody kind of seeks at a lot of points. So both of you guys too, but I guess Jerry, start if you want.
Yeah, it's like, it's not even so much are you ready for it. For me, and I don't know if it was like this for you, Sean, I was just still blown away that I actually had a job in this industry. That my mantra was always like, you are not going to blow this. Okay, so you are gonna like just be on your best behavior, and work comes first, and don't let it get to your head, because I just always had the feeling like I snuck into a party, and at some point the bouncer was gonna shine the light on me and say, "How the hell did you get in here? Get out of here!" You know. So I always took it day by day, and I never really abused any privileges or the stuff that comes with it, because I just felt like I still gotta earn it. That's definitely how I approach. As far as like the selfie thing or people, and I've been doing this so long, and Sean, I think you can speak on this too. Like, honestly, the selfie thing is way better because it's quick. It used to be like, let me get the camera
out, fumbling.
Someone take it from me, and you gotta find some person, and then the person doesn't know how to work the phone.
The guy turns it off and says, "Hey, what's your passcode?" You're like, "Oh, bro,
right." So, you know, as far as that with me, right, I kind of give what I get. Like, even if I'm eating, if you come over and you're cool and respectful, let's do it, man. All right, I'm eating. So what? Yes, I get it. I do get a little weird when I'm with the kids, because I don't even know how to explain that to them yet. But if you're cool and nice and respectful, I'll take whatever. I'll sit there and take photos and chill. That's how I look. But if you aren't that, then that will end quickly.
Yeah, it's true. I would say the same thing too. Like when I think it's easier it takes less time to be nice, and then everyone goes on their way. than it is to be like, hey man, I'm eating and blah blah blah,
Right.
and then they're like, you're a jerk. And next thing you know, security. we got a real problem here. So like, I've always kind of done what Jerry's done. Like, hey, no problem. I'll take a selfie or a picture, or whatever. I remember the first time it kind of hit me though. Like, like I said, that first year in the big leagues, I'm like, oh man, I was like Jerry in the back corner, like, how long is it gonna take them to know I'm up here? Like, I can't believe we're in the big leagues. Like, I can't believe I'm getting hits. This is unbelievable. Like, I'm collecting autographs. You gotta be kidding me. My rookie year too was the summer of McGuire and Sosa. I was like, and they're both in my division, bro. I was like, McGuire hit 60 against us in St. Louis. So he hit 60. They got 3 games against the Cubs, and I'm like, he's coming to Cincinnati because they're coming. The next 3 games are coming to Cincy. I'm like, he's going to hit 62 in Cincy. And sure enough, bro, he ends up hitting 60, I think 60, 61, and 62 or whatever. He hits 3 homers on the last day in St. Louis. I was so pissed. But I remember thinking, Jerry, I was like this big of a loser. I'm like, what am I going to do when McGuire homers? I'm just going to jump into his arms and say, congratulations, bro. You did it. You did it. You did it. So I was the same way. Like that year, I was just excited to be there. But in '99, I was having a big year, and my parents had come into town in Cincinnati, and my mom loves McDonald's coffee for whatever reason. She's like, hey, my mom's from Long Island too, from Islip, Long Island. She's like, Shawnee, calls me Shawnee. Shawnee, go in and get your mother some coffee. So I'm like, all right, Ma, I'll get you some coffee, So I go to the McDonald's in Cincy, boom, I'm waiting in line. I get up there, I'm like, yeah, can I get a coffee with 2 creams? And the guy's like, oh my God, it's Sean Casey. And I'm like, where? And I remember bolting out of the McDonald's. I was like, Mom, hit the gas. We got to get out of here. It was like one of those moments. I was like, man, I've arrived, but it's funny. I just had a moment in Brooklyn where it said, maybe I haven't arrived. I went to the Butcher's Daughter. Have you ever eaten there? It's a restaurant.
Place is great.
Really good stuff. So I'm there, boom, have a nice lunch. I'm signing the check. Sean Casey, the waitress is like, oh, are you Sean Casey, the animal rescue guy? And I go, no, but I get that all the time because there's an animal rescue guy, there's a wrestler, there's a storm chaser, and there's a baseball player. She goes, oh, well, if you were the animal rescue guy, you're kind of famous around here. And I'm like, no.
Give my tip back.
Yeah, I just gave you 30%. What are you, nuts? Because I played the baseball, I give you 30%.
I always have. I try to keep a good sense of humor too. Like every now and then, someone will come up and be like, "Wow, you're really short."
Yeah.
Like I don't know, on TV, I just thought you'd be bigger, or some nice middle-aged woman be like, "Oh, you're so much better looking in person." I'm like, "So what? I'm terrible looking on television?" Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. But I always do it with a smile. Like I do agree with you, Sean. Like it actually is a lot more effort to kind of be, just angry about the whole thing. Like smile, let's keep it moving. And ultimately, again, it is flattering, and it means that people either respect your work or respect your game, and they're enjoying what you do. So come on, let's keep it light,
Yeah, I totally agree. Talk about keeping it light. I want to bring you back to the the days when little Jerry was growing up out in Brooklyn. Like, did you always have the style that you had? Were you always with the shoes and the jerseys and stuff like that? And 2, I heard you were a little bit of a chunky kid, and I was too, so we have that in common. So can you talk about the days growing up, Jerry Ferrara in Brooklyn, like 6th grade Jerry?
Several things to unpack there, okay? First and foremost, and I'm not even going to say this is a Brooklyn thing, but it is, but I know it's a thing elsewhere. But sneakers, haircuts, just back then it was chains, it just was everything, right? And Jordans were, a thing. Like I remember when Jordan won the dunk contest wearing the white cement 3s, and then you could go buy them. I mean, I remember when Reebok pumps came. I just always was a shoe head. I have bad posture to this day because I always walk to school looking at my shoes, just being like, look how good those are. Those things are beautiful. So I'm always walking with my head down. It's not a confidence thing. I'm just looking at my shoes. So yeah, very much. And especially, it did lead into the character of Turtle. Like I definitely loved jerseys when I was a kid. I was always wearing basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys. Like it just was. It was Brooklyn style back then for sure. As far as the food thing, I mean, I'm still a fatty, man. I love food, and my family makes great food, and they also we settle family differences with food. It's like, oh, I know you're having, all right, just eat the meatballs. It's gonna be okay, and it usually would be. It usually would be. So, yeah, man. Like it wasn't. I was not necessarily taught how to like eat healthy. Yeah, I was working out and active a lot, but you know, when you're young, you just eat everything. And there was a lot of food. I think, you know, that was like a source of social activity. It was always like you go get pizza with your friends and Sunday dinner at grandma's house. That's how everybody got together. And I really didn't start packing on the pounds. I was a little heavier when Entourage started, but then you get a job as an actor and you're like, oh my God, there's like food here all the time.
There's spreads everywhere. Yeah.
Craft service everywhere. And you mean to say if I want a donut, I could ask you because I can't leave set. I could ask you to go get me a donut and you'll go get me a donut? Oh man, I packed it on in the first year.
Oh, bro, that's so
packed
great.
It on in the first year. I mean, I hit 205 at 5'7".
Did you really?
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how? But dude, you do look like so different now. Like, how did you end up losing all that weight? And why? Were you like, I'm gonna have a heart attack or something? Like, why did
well,
you?
yeah, you know. All right. So, right before you start any new job as an actor, right? If you go do a movie or whatever, you have to. I think for insurance purposes, you have to go take a physical, right? But back then, I know times are different now. Back then, it used to be like a wink, wink, like, yeah, go take your physical, and you go to the doctor, and they basically make sure you're not like dying. Like if you literally could stand up, right, and your heart's not pumping out of your chest, and there's nothing glaring, like go make a movie, right? And I went and I saw this doctor. I think I was 29 years old. I was about to start a movie, and this doctor's being like really thorough with me. I'm like, hey, this is not what we do here. What are you doing? Why are you actually like examining me so well? And she had a very real conversation with me where she didn't like scare me, but she said, look, you're not even 30 years old yet. You turn 30 in a couple months. Like you're in perfect health. Go make a movie, have fun. But, you know, you're 2-0 whatever, 203, okay? It's not a problem now, but it could be a problem later. So if I were you, I would just start now eating better, working out a little more, because let me tell you, when you get older and you have kids and stuff, it's harder, you know? So she just broke it down in like a very real casual way. It made sense. The next day I woke up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try eating oatmeal in the morning. And I did. And I'm like, let me try a salad. And I got back, I started playing hoops again. And I got myself out of that comfort zone I was in. And it wasn't like, oh, I lost 40 pounds in a month. I was losing 2-3 pounds a month, you know? And then what happens is you get addicted to something good. Like 3 months go by and someone says, oh, hey, you look good. Wow, you lost a little weight. You're like, okay, this is working. And then maybe a girl is like, wow, you look really good. And it's like, okay, this is really working. And it was like a year of slow and steady. And then, yeah, after like a year and a half, I lost like 60 pounds. I felt great.
Wow. Well, it's the old, you create your habits, then your habits create you. You know what I mean? Like
For
you
sure.
you create bad habits. Well, you eat, pizza and wings and a couple pops 4 nights a week. You know, you get back what you put into it, but you start creating new habits where you're eating salads and oatmeal and starting working out. Like, 50 pounds sheds, and then you have a new life, which is awesome. I want to go. There's one other thing I wanted. Well, there's so many other things, bro. We're not going to take your whole night because I know the kids. Hopefully they don't wake up. You know what I mean? But you were in the movie Las Vegas, and the reason I'm so interested in that movie is because some of my favorite actors are in there. De Niro was in there. Morgan Freeman was in there. Was Michael Douglas in that? Michael Douglas and Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline and Mary Steenburgen, who's been in like every movie in the last 10 years.
Yes.
So what was like? Can you give us a story from that time with those guys that was like, you got to be kidding me?
Well, yeah. I always tell people it's like if this was an SAT question, name what doesn't belong in this phrase, right? Because you say all those names and you insert my name. It's like, oh, that one's easy. That guy. You circle that one. That was obviously, and I feel the same way about those actors, right? Like those are Hall of Famers who all have never worked together. even
Wow.
individually, like as a group, individually, they'd never worked together before. So it
Wow.
did feel a little historic in a way. The few stories with that were, first of all, that's what I like to call a don't get fired job, right? Like, I'm going to go in, talk about, like you said, you struggle with, like, you're going to jump in Mark McGuire's arms. Like, I wanted to go up to De Niro and just be like, oh my God, I got so many things. But I was going to play it cool, you know? So I kind of walk on. And my goal is, like, do your work, do your job great, be prepared, and don't talk in between takes. Just go sit and speak when spoken to. You know, someone asks you a question, you answer it. Until then, be quiet. And first couple of days it's going great, and those guys are also nice. And I think it was literally like Michael Douglas is like, Jerry, come here, and like calls me over to the group. I'm like, oh God. Let's see how this goes. And I come over, and they just couldn't have been nicer. And I swear, I don't know if they do it on purpose, but I think they've been doing this so long and are so a part of so many of ours, like, favorite movies and stuff. Like, they knew. They were like, all right, this kid's being freaking weird. Let's let him feel comfortable. And they asked me questions about myself and got me talking, and I felt like I was initiated into the group, and I was no longer like a weird guy just sitting there looking at my lines, not talking to anyone. And it was great. You know, we get those actor chairs with our names on it, right? I took this picture. I think it's still on my Instagram. We see, like, De Niro, Freeman, Klein, Ferrara, spelled so wrong. Like, I think they got 2 letters right. I think they got the F and the R right. It was like Jerry Ferrara.
Wow.
And I was like, that's a good reality check.
my God.
Funny, because no one else's name was spelled wrong. That, and the last thing that I thought was so impressive was, you know, Morgan Freeman one day was sick. He came into work and he had like a flu or a really bad cold, you know, and not the youngest guy in the world. And you could just tell he felt awful. And it was this whole montage in the movie where he has to, like, ballroom dance with this girl, right? It's a huge sequence. It's going to take the whole day. And if anyone could call in sick, Morgan Freeman, right? Like, if I'm sick, I maybe got to gut it out, you know? It was like, you don't want to shut down the whole, you're sending 200 people home for the day.
Wow.
So I remember all the producers are talking, like, what do we do? We sick? Like, Morgan Freeman was just like, guys, I will work until I physically cannot. And I promise you, if I say I can't, I genuinely cannot. And that dude worked like the whole entire day. I'm talking in between takes, he's like getting covered with a blanket. He's sweating. He's shivering. He's pretty sick. And he just grinded out the whole day. And that just, I thought, was like a great lesson. Like, here's a guy who's been doing it forever. I mean, one of the most acclaimed actors you're ever going to want to meet. And he wasn't like, no, I have a cold. I'm going home. Taking the day off, you guys figure it out. And I just thought that was a great lesson. Wow. And wow, because I've seen other actors call in sick for less than that and not show up to work.
Couple too many beers or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen. So, you know, I just thought that was really, really amazing, and that movie's always going to be special to me.
Did you ever have a moment with, like, Morgan Freeman or De Niro, like, and like the voice, man, the voices of De Niro and Freeman? Did you ever feel like you were like offset? You were like in a movie but you were really just talking to them, and like it's Shawshank Redemption, like Andy Dufresne, like like Morgan Freeman's voice. Did you ever have that moment with those guys?
A story just popped into my head that actually now I have to tell. So in the movie, spoiler alert, guys, sorry. I'm like this rude kind of guy, and they're all in Vegas partying, and I'm being rude to this girl, and then I'm rude to De Niro, and then rude to Michael Douglas, and then De Niro comes out of nowhere and hits me with a haymaker and drops me, right? And no actor wants to get knocked out in the movie. We want to be the guy knocking someone out. But if anyone's going to knock you out, let it be De Niro, right?
Yeah.
You know, so... And we're doing it. We do take one. And I'm literally like, this is freaking cool. But then I had a surreal moment. We're doing like take 4, and, you know, I come running in, he comes running in, and right as they're about to call action, like, and he goes, wait, stop, Jerry, your shoe's untied. Tie that up before we go. I don't want you to trip. I'm like,
Oh
all right, Bob, hold on. I tie my shoe, and I'm like, all right, I'm good, let's go. And I go running in, and boom, he drops me. And at the end of the day, it was a very long day, you know, saying goodbye to everybody. And De Niro kind of like very, very shy. He's very shy. He's, really gotta like get to know him. He doesn't really give you much like in between until he feels like And then at the end of the day, he came over. He's like, give me a little hug. He was like, "That's a good job today, kid. Like, good job." I was like,
Wow.
I'm done. I can retire.
Yeah.
If I had enough money, I would retire for life, and I got no more goals left. But unfortunately, I gotta keep working.
Oh, bro, man,
It was great.
dude, you're a lucky man, bro. You are a very, very lucky man, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more awesomeness to come in, especially as the kids get older, bro. Awesomeness comes with the kids and comes with the roles. We have an awesome thing we do here at the mayor's office called 9 and 90, and it's just a fun game. Chinch doesn't tell us what the things are, and he just gives us two options, and boom, we roll with it, right, Chinch? Explain the game.
Yeah,
I'm doing
exactly.
a terrible job. I suck.
No, that was perfect. That made perfect sense. Right, Jerry? No.
Yeah, I got it. I think I got it.
I'm going to ask a question. It's a this or that kind of question. Sean will start, and you just pick it up right after an answer.
Okay.
We're usually doing this with athletes. You're a smarter guy than that, so this probably goes a little smoother.
I don't know.
First
I
one,
doubt it.
Case. Goodfellas or Godfather, Case?
Goodfellas.
I'm gonna go Goodfellas too. It meant more to me in the moment.
There you go.
Yes.
True or false? True or false? It's okay to cut your spaghetti with a knife and fork.
Ooh, I say true. I'm Irish.
False is false. You get the spoon and you twirl, Sean. You
I
get
know.
the spoon and you just twirl it.
Hey,
Come on,
we're
false.
Casey's and McHugh's, bro. We cut the spaghetti and just shovel it in.
I shouldn't have asked that. I knew I was going to exploit you. All right, better Jerry. Jerry Seinfeld, Jerry Springer, or Jerry Rice? You can only pick one. John.
I'm gonna have to go with Jerry Seinfeld. Although Jerry Springer was the mayor, so just saying.
Yes, he wasn't your the mayor's.
I'm gonna go Jerry Rice. I'm gonna go Jerry Rice. I feel like he's the all-time great receiver. But I grew up
Of
on
all
Jerry
time.
Springer.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, you can only pick one. Sean. Sean Penn, Sean Connery, or Sean P. Diddy Combs?
Oh, Sean Connery for me. I mean, Untouchables.
The Rock.
I think I'm gonna go Connery too for the accent. The accent is great.
It's
James Bond.
007.
All right.
007, yeah.
Nice. All right, San Gennaro Festival or Oktoberfest? Oh, here, beers, Sean, or meatballs? That's technically.
Oh, Oktoberfest, bro. Oktoberfest. And I took 6 years of I took 6 years of German, and I still can't speak one word of it. But I know Oktoberfest is German.
Okay.
San Gennaro feast for me all
Thank you,
day.
sir.
It's not even close. You can get a beer anytime. You can't go, guy. Come on, San
Thank you.
Gennaro.
Not the good German beer in the mug, but the German beer.
Sure. I'm
Get a
gonna
Peroni.
take your word for it.
Yeah. All right, would you rather spend an hour in a room with 100 mosquitoes or 10 rats?
Oh, 10 rats. I could dodge the rats. I'd be okay with that. Maybe I'd make friends with them, but the mosquitoes, I just can't stand mosquitoes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the rats because I really do feel like I could just keep a perimeter and keep my distance where the mosquitoes are just coming from every angle and just biting you. Yeah, I agree.
All right. Can you recite your significant other's cell phone number right now?
Yeah, 908.
Give it out.
Just kidding. I wouldn't do that on air, guys. I would never do that.
I can, but
Wow.
it wasn't until like 2 years ago. And she used to actually, because sometimes you go in the supermarket when you don't have your card to swipe, they're like, "Oh, you have a phone number?" And I would be like, "What's your phone number?" And she would be like, "You really don't know my phone number?" And I don't, but I do now.
All right. Last two. Ready? All right. Toilet paper. Roll down or roll up?
Oh, it rolled down. On top. I like it on top. Roll down.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's different every time. I never notice. I don't have
really?
a preference. I don't have a preference. I guess I'm focused on other things.
All right, last
I don't
one.
have
I'm
a
excited.
preference.
Beautiful. All right. Which character, played by a famous Brooklyn celebrity, would win in a fight? Daniel LaRussa or Turtle?
Oh, Turtle. I got to go with Turtle, man. He would take Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio would go with the crane. He'd be like, boom, I'm Turtle again. Brooklyn.
Yeah, I feel like Turtle would know the crane kick is coming.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
I feel like Turtle doesn't fight fair. I feel like he also would sweep the leg, you know,
Yeah.
and if Miyagi's not around to, you know, repair the injury, I feel like it's an easy victory.
He's going
beautiful.
Cobra
All
Kai.
right.
Cobra Kai. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
We did it.
I
We
love
did
it.
it.
Dude, Turtle.
That was
Jerry, thanks so much, man. Hey, Jerry, one other thing, bro. I looked up and saw you had a podcast called Bad for Business, and you
Yes.
got a lot of, and you have like 135 episodes. Can you help out Chinch and I? Like, are we doing all right? We're rookies, bro. We're like you, your first year on Entourage.
No. You guys are doing great. Yeah, I mean, my wife and I we did it, you know, we started back in 2013. We don't post as many because of the kids and stuff like we're in it right now, but and it's just so hard to talk about anything else. But yeah, look, you guys are doing great. The key is, like you guys know, just keep doing it. You set a date, you drop it on a certain time. People expect you to be there when they start to love what they're hearing. That's how I am with pods. I need to know if you're coming on every Thursday, I need you there every Thursday, you know, because and then I feel like I count on you to be there for me. I listen to a ton of pods. That's pretty much, I listen to pods more than television at this point. So,
Me too.
and I just have it in all the time when I'm doing chores or with the kid, whatever. So you just keep doing it, man. You guys are doing great. You kidding?
All
Thanks,
right,
man.
bro. We're gonna keep doing it, man. But Jerry, thank you so much, bro. We
man.
appreciate you coming
Seriously.
on with us, man. Really, all the time you took, and tell your wife and the kids hi, and hopefully we'll see you. Maybe we'll have you on a couple episodes way down the road, and we'll bring you on for episode for number
man.
2.
Yeah, I have some questions for another episode. I want to talk about like sports and kids and not like forcing it on them, but making sure I want to give them the chance. I want to talk about that. So, and believe me, you're going to get a text, Sean, if my kid climbs out of the crib tomorrow, your phone's blowing up, and I'm going to ask for the link for that mosquito net that you bought.
Hey, bro, I got so many tricks for you, bro. You just give me a call, and I will set you straight. I will set you and Bree straight.
Done deal. We need help. The zone defense has been broken. They're exposing the man-to-man, and they're running up the score. So send help when you can.
Awesome.
Oh, man,
Thanks
all
again,
right.
man.
Jerry, thanks so
All right,
much,
guys.
man. Thanks so much, brother. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Take care.
My pleasure. Later.
Yeah, man. See you,
See
bro.
ya. Oh man,
That
You
was
know,
awesome.
we keep saying like, hey, after the guest is over, let's figure out what we're gonna do after. But right now, I feel the same way. I feel better. I don't know what to say. I'm just so happy that he just came on, and I don't even know what to do.
Dude, what a great
So
dude.
great.
Like, oh man,
The greatest.
you know what? I think this is why the podcast is so great, because, you know, getting to talk to guys like Jerry and the life experiences that he's had, like so many things. I could go back to this, you know, last hour and 15 minutes and just break down so many cool things and cool stories. And, you know, it's just absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
That 9 and 9, I want to throw one quick story out there. The 9 and 90,
What do you got?
the 9 and 90 made me think of one. Did I say it?
Yeah, you can say it. What do you mean?
Oh, the 9 and 90.
What are you worried about? What is this?
So I don't know. I thought you said hang on. I was like, why? Is somebody listening?
No, I was like,
No.
oh, this is great. I can't wait.
No,
to
the 9 and 90 one time when you were talking about the toilet paper up or down.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking of in 5th grade, bro. I kept clogging the toilet, that downstairs toilet. We had one toilet like in the family room, and my mom was like, "Shorty, you gotta quit clogging the toilet." And I'm like, "What do you mean, Mom? It's no big deal. You know, take it easy." She's like, "How are you doing the toilet paper? Because it's ridiculous." And so I showed her, like, I come off the top roll, I just crumple it up, bam, I hit it, and boom, you know. And then next thing you know, she calls my dad in, and whenever she calls my dad in, I'm like, "Okay, this isn't good. Why is Dad here?" He's like. And my dad's like, "Son," he's like, "show me how you do the toilet paper." I'm like, "All right." I'm ripping out the toilet paper. I crumple it up like it looks like 17 napkins. And I'm like, "Here you go, Dad." Just boom, I throw a couple of these in there after I drop one. He's like, "You got to be kidding me." He's like, "Listen, you gotta clean that up." He goes, "You got to take it off the top, roll out 4 rolls, boom." He goes, "Fold it once, hit it." And then he's like, "And then refold it and wipe again." I go, "No, Dad, I ain't doing that. I know you're yelling at me right now, but I'm not double wiping with only 4 little threads. I need 17 clumped up. Here we go. Let's ready to roll. If we clog the toilet, we call the plumber. Get the freaking plunger out."
The The bonus part about that is the more stories you start telling, you've now told like 3 or 4 or 5 amazing stories about your dad, and your impression of him is gradually getting closer and closer to Randy Macho Man Savage. And all I can think of is Savage, like with a headband in your bathroom, screaming at you.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Anyway, man, I mean, this is so much fun, dude. I don't know what else to say. Very cool.
JG, I love you, brother. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. And
Awesome.
man, thanks again to Jerry Ferrara. That was so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, thank you for your time. Thanks to everybody that tuned in to NoFilter.net. We're on here live every week, and thanks for tuning in. Everyone that comes on, you know, on our other podcast, you know, links, whether it's Apple, Spotify, and we're on YouTube too. So thanks a lot for everyone that joined us tonight. Chinch, we did it again,
Thanks,
brother.
bro.
Let's keep
Absolutely,
rolling.
bro.
Let's keep rolling,
Love
man.
it.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bro. Love you.
All right.